My experience with SARM S23, I was really excited, but also very nervous to try S23 myself. I think I was the first person to ever megadose it and do my blood work to see if it actually had any side effects. I took up to 100 milligrams of S23 every day for a week, and at the time, I documented it with daily vlogging about how it was transforming my body, and there's some very unique things about S23 that I noticed very different from some of the other SARMs. First of all, S23 is actually suppressive. It does actually suppress natural testosterone production. This is not typical of SARMs. Most of the SARMs, especially in lower dosages, seem to have no impact on natural testosterone production, no suppression, or if they do, it's very minor and it rebounds very quickly and pretty much irrelevant. But with S23, it actually does suppress natural testosterone production intentionally because it was developed as a infertility medication for men, as a birth control. And it did not achieve FDA approval for that. But of course, it's working through the androgen pathway. It's replacing the body's own testosterone with something better than testosterone, some would say, in which case also it doesn't really matter if your testosterone is suppressed if you're replacing your natural testosterone with something better than testosterone. But the concern was also that if we are replacing our natural testosterone with S23 and therefore we stop producing sperm for the most part, is there going to be other side effects of testosterone deficiency because is S23 actually giving us all of the benefits of testosterone? Well, in my case, S23 did give me all of the benefits of testosterone. Even though it shut my testosterone down, I still felt superhuman. I felt amazing. I felt better than if my body was producing its own natural testosterone, which is pretty amazing, right? To be able to replace our own natural testosterone with a synthetic compound that's even better and safer than testosterone. So most people would be concerned about the suppression of testosterone, but this SARM S23 was actually developed with the intent to suppress testosterone, but you have to add the other part of it because it's replacing it with S23, which is better than testosterone. So it's not necessarily a bad thing unless we're trying to have children, which is one of the main reasons why I don't take S23 anymore, because I want to have more children and I want to build my fertility and I don't want to shut down my fertility. Now, I'm not sure if I could take S23 in combination with enhanced top T testosterone booster and enclomiphene, and therefore have my own natural testosterone at the same time I'm taking S23. I haven't done that experiment yet. It's a very easy experiment to do. Someone could use S23 and then take top T and enclomiphene and test testosterone levels and see whether or not their testosterone levels are suppressed. Great experiment to do. And then if they are suppressed, the significance of that is probably just lowering fertility. There's probably no other consequence to it, probably. But this is not medical, legal, or any other type of advice, and I'm not encouraging you all to experiment. I'm just telling you where my head's at with my experimentation of S23. I'm thinking about circling back to taking S23 because when I took that megadose of 100 milligrams per day for 7 days, it was one of the best anabolic compounds I ever took. My muscles looked crazy. They were so hard, so dense, and I was growing as fast as I could eat, but I couldn't eat enough. I had the same experience on 100 milligrams of S23 as I also had previously when I was taking very high dosage steroids. Not recommending it, but if you ever take a really high dosage, you'll notice you have a hard time eating enough food to keep up with it, in which case it's a waste to take that high of a dosage because you could actually lose weight. Someone could actually take S23 at something like 30 milligrams and actually lose weight because they're not eating enough, because it increases the metabolism a lot, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. When you increase your metabolism a lot, your muscle metabolism, you can build muscle very fast, extremely fast on S23. But you could also become glycogen depleted. Your muscles are pulling glycogen for themselves to keep running, and they're going to need a lot more when running on S23. If we don't eat enough, what happens? Our muscles get glycogen depleted. We start burning fat for fuel, which is good. But the problem is then you go to the gym and you lift, and even if your body's burning fat for fuel, your body doesn't have enough time to access that fat, to release that fat, to utilize that fat for the workout, and you end up training and you end up going catabolic. You end up losing muscle training on S23 unless you have some calories. It's so powerful. I wouldn't use S23 unless I was more advanced, or unless I wanted to do it as an experiment, or unless I wanted to shut down my own natural testosterone production or fertility. Or if I am going to use S23, I would use it as a low dosage, and I would only increase the dosage as the calories are increasing. Now, I've been surprised that more people aren't using S23 because it was one of the best ones. But it seems like what happens is there's a risk tolerance threshold, and people who have no risk tolerance or low risk tolerance, they use SARMs. And people who don't care about their health, or they're willing to sacrifice their health, they use steroids. And S23 is like right in between. It's as powerful as the steroid, but it also has the side effects of suppressing natural testosterone production. So most people that would consider using S23 end up using a steroid anyways. I don't think that's smart. I think that it would be much smarter to use S23 than to jump into steroids. I think S23 has a lot less side effects. It's on the path to getting FDA approval. Well, so are most steroids are FDA approved also. So yeah, anyways, all of this stuff is safer than the mainstream leads us to believe anyways. But the point is just picking our poison and doing a risk versus benefit analysis. Well, that's why we have the school community. Because in the school community, we can talk completely uncensored about all of these compounds, the benefits, the risks, the side effects, the different protocols, not encouraging anybody to use it, but this is information that I think everybody should have to be able to make informed decisions. And it helps further the research, because a lot of the underground research that I did ends up getting back to the scientists, which then furthers their research. And then eventually, 20 years later, they come up to the same conclusions that I came up with by doing my own experimentation. Will I use S23 again in the near future? Yeah, let's say after I have another couple children, if I didn't care about fertility, S23 would probably be one of my go-to SARMs, because it is so powerful. It really is as effective as steroids, but with much less side effects other than the decrease in fertility. So I'm a huge fan of S23, won't use it now, but I will definitely be using it in the future.